Hello beautiful mamas. Does your baby have reflux? And you're pretty sure your baby does because they're constantly spitting up every single time that you burp them. They have a small little puddle or maybe a medium-sized one and it gets all over your shirt and you almost forgot to put a burp cloth on you. That usually happens because that used to definitely happen to me when I had it, when my little one had some reflux as well too. But I do have 3 different tips that I have while burping your refluxy baby. Now, before we go into these 3 different tips, I'm Adriana. I'm a pediatric occupational therapist of 13 years. I have worked in the NICU and I have worked with infants. And I am also a mama of 2 little ones and a little guy that had pretty bad feeding issues when he was born, and currently a little bit of those developmental delays that we're also going through right now at the moment. Now, I know that the first year was very difficult, and that's why I ended up creating this channel, because there's so much information that's out there, and I really wanted to hone in and talk about the first year of life, because it is the hardest, and I definitely lived through that. And the whole purpose is to empower you in a way to demystify milestones and demystify feeding and feeding for babies overall. So this will help your baby have this foundational skill so there aren't any major issues later on as they get older. All right, let's go ahead and talk about tip number 1 when it comes to burping a baby who has reflux. So the very typical position, and I could show you here with this doll, is always putting them up on your shoulder, which is very typical for everyone to burp a baby. And we're constantly wanting to pat the baby very hard. Now, what ends up happening when we're burping the baby very hard is we are putting a lot of pressure here in the sphincter area. So making sure that instead of patting hard, maybe patting on the bottom, on their bottom, and then also rubbing their back to be able to burp. And this will really help alleviate or decrease the probability of a spit up. Tip number 2 is when we are burping the baby in this position, let's really start concentrating on how we are holding on to the baby. If we're letting them and scrunching up their legs like this, we're again putting a lot of pressure in that sphincter and having that pressure system really feel uncomfortable overall. So making sure that we're extending a little bit more of these legs, and again, instead of patting on the top part of the body, and attempt to pat on the bottom of the baby and then rub and see if that will really help your baby decrease in spitting or feeling uncomfortable when it comes to reflux. And you might be wondering, well, does my baby really have reflux or not? Then one of the main things that I actually created a video up here, and you're gonna see it there, that are different signs and symptoms that you may see in a baby who has reflux. And then also I am creating a video as well too, where you will learn more so about the different things that can cause reflux, and how you can talk to your pediatrician about it as well too. So I'm gonna link it right up there too. Tip number 3, this is a great position to place your baby in. I'm gonna lift up my leg here so you can see, but being able to lift up or maybe even cross your leg over if you are wanting to take that break and burp your baby, and place your baby in this sideline position. And instead of scrunching them against your body in this particular position, make sure that you're extending them out and bringing them a little bit more forward just to help you out. That way they're not extending so much. But this will help in order to rub the baby's back and help alleviate more of that the reflux as well too. We're stretching them out, we're not creating pressure in the system, and also if they do end up spitting up, it does give them more time to swallow because it trickles down to the cheek and it gives them that opportunity to swallow and not feeling the need to swallow right away, or feeling that the reflux right away goes back down into the esophagus and it burns. Again, it's acidity that comes from the stomach, and that doesn't feel very great overall, especially if you know and have had, you know, a history of heartburn in the past, and you know how that feels. It does not feel good at all whatsoever. So these are the 3 different tips that I hope that will help your little one with reflux when it comes to burping. Check out my other video too on 5 different ways that can help decrease reflux overall. And I will discuss that more in detail, so I'll link it up here. So check out those videos and hope these help.